Well, we're joined by a very special guest who has a very big announcement. Larry Sharpe has been a two-time state gubernatorial candidate in New York, 2018 and 2022 for the Libertarian Party. He has since been affiliated with the American Values PAC, American Values 2024 PAC, which you might know as the PAC that had been supporting Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the Maha movement. Larry Sharpe, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
I have returned. Your audience may rejoice. So yes, I'm back again. I'm so happy to be here, trying my best to, as always, make the world a better place. It doesn't always work, but I keep trying. I'm either dumb or stubborn or something, but I keep going.
Well, you keep going. So tell us the big announcement.
It is true. I have been teasing people for years, probably not years, but years and months. I've been teasing. I am actually running for governor of New York for 2026. Yes, it is true.
Wow.
Yes. And I will be looking for two separate party lines. I'll be looking for the We the People line, which is RFK Jr.'s party, and the Libertarian Party, which I have run on more than once. Now you might say, Larry, how can you do that? In New York State, we have what's called fusion voting, which means you can actually be listed twice on the ballot with two separate parties.
Oh.
And yeah, so I'll be listed as a We the People Party candidate and as a Libertarian Party candidate, and all the votes count together. That's how New York State works.
Wow. Okay. This is exciting. Very exciting news.
Yes.
You did, and this is your third time running now for governor. So you know what you're doing this time. You know what you're doing. You knew what you're doing.
That
before,
is for sure. Yes.
So.
The glory, I hope, is it took Biden 3 times. It took Reagan 3 times. It took Nixon 3 times. Maybe this is the time for me. Who knows? I'm hoping this is my time. The advantage of this is that doing it 3 times, you're right. I know what the courts are going to say. I know how the election law works. I know how to get around all the issues that have happened. And it is very challenging. Ballot access, as you know, is very hard to get. Bobby Kennedy Jr. spent $1 million in New York State trying to get on the ballot and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do it this time. It will take time, but we'll do it.
Okay. So let's talk about the logistics of this then. Like, what did you learn? What were the problems in 2018 that you're not going to have this time around?
2018 actually was my best run so far, the 2018 and 2022. Because at that point, it wasn't that hard to get in the ballot relatively, right? It took 15,000 signatures to get on the ballot, and I had a very motivated Libertarian Party that was ready to rock and roll, and we got on the ballot, and we got 100,000 votes. So 100,000 votes got us ballot access in New York State, and then the next year, I covered the state again. I cross the state every single year. I call it the full Sharpe. I go to all 62 counties in New York State every year, whether I'm running or not. I've been doing it every year, so it's my 8th time I'm doing it now. 8th time I've crossed the entire state.
Wow.
So as I crossed the state in 2019, I was able to get 107 local victories, Libertarians in New York State. We went from 0 Libertarians to 107. And 1 was in New York City. So even better. They were all local, like Water Board, City Council. They were all local. We had 1 district attorney. So we had 1. But we had victories. And then in 2020, the Cuomo at the time, who was our governor then, changed the laws, wrecked the entire party, and then did lockdowns, which wrecked our party again. And we lost all ballot access. We lost everything.
Yes. So Cuomo, let's talk about what Cuomo did so that people understand the rigging of the system. Because what he did was change the rules of what it would require to have ballot access.
Correct. What it used to be is 15,000 signatures, 6 weeks in the summer, which was very challenging. You had to have organization to do so, but it was doable.
Yeah.
He then changed it from 15,000 to 45,000. He tripled it, made it 6 weeks, and moved the time so that there's a time in New York State where there's still snowstorms. So you might say, well, Larry, 45,000, is that really that much? It isn't if you give me 6 months to get it, but you don't. I have 6 weeks, and it must be within that specific 6-week time period only. It's a random time period. Who cares? I mean, just if you want me to get them, let me get them. But not just that. They look at every single issue, and I'll give you a crazy piece. In Brooklyn, New York, everyone's heard of Brooklyn, the mailing address is Brooklyn, New York. So if you make a signature and you put your address on as Brooklyn, New York, it doesn't count as a signature because the county of Brooklyn is actually called Kings County. I'm not joking. So they will make that signature illegal. They will throw it out because the person didn't put Kings County.
So you actually need like double to triple the signature.
Correct. So I need like 75 to 80,000 signatures in a 6-week period specifically. And I have to check every one of them every day to make sure they're all correct. That's why it takes $500,000. To be clear, It's $500,000, $250,000 to $500,000 just to get on the ballot. That's not one Facebook ad. That's not one bumper sticker. That's not one, handout. That's nothing. That is just on the ballot. You might go, but Larry, they all have to do it. No, they don't. Democrats, Republicans, just on automatically.
So they don't have to do it at all.
At all.
How did they carve out the exemption for them? What was the rule that allows that carve out?
Because they're established parties. That's it.
And the Libertarian Party isn't?
Not since they got rid of us. Correct. Not since they got rid of us. They got rid of us, so we're not. Yes, correct. So that's why in 2022, I went to court to fix this. I went to court 8 times. I lost all 8 times.
How could you lose this? What did the judges say?
It's the law, too bad. I'm not joking.
Oh, well, because judges, all they do is interpret law. So they're sitting there like...
They follow law. They don't interpret. I wish they interpreted.
Okay.
I wish they interpreted. They don't. They just follow the law. Remember, judges are not beholden to you or the Constitution. They are beholden only to their political parties because that's how they get into power and stay in power.
Okay.
Judges are beholden to political parties. That's what they care about. Constitution means nothing. In New York State, the Bill of Rights is the Bill of Suggestions. It's not the Bill of Rights, right? That's what it is. So to add to this piece, they literally made up rules. I'm not joking. This was public to not let me speak, even in court. So they hammered me horribly. So now, here is my argument, though, and this is why I know we'll win this time. In 2022, it was the first time in New York State in over 100 years where there was no governor candidate who was independent on the ballot. In 2026, New York State was the only state in the entire union that had no independent candidate for president on the ballot.
Well, not 2026. We haven't had 2026.
I'm sorry, 2024.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
In 2024, there was no independent presidential candidate on the ballot. Only New York State had that. Everyone else had at least one, if not 2 or 3.
They really, really fought RFK Jr. on that, right? They were one of the worst states fighting him about...
They're the worst state.
Yeah.
Yes.
Putting him on the ballot. Yeah.
So here is an argument that
blue Democrat, we're for democracy state, not for democracy at all.
If you look at this from an outsider, what New York State says is, your name is Kennedy. You spend $1 million just to get on the ballot. Your address, they don't like your address.
Right.
You can't be on the ballot.
Yeah.
Now, you might say, I don't like RFK or I don't like... So that means no one gets to vote for him?
Right. Just you don't vote for him if you don't like him. That's it.
You don't have to vote for him.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine. And $1 million? So what you've just created is an environment to where only the aristocracy can run.
Yeah.
You have set up a state to where only the aristocracy can ever be your ruler. And New York State's like, that makes sense. That's good. But I'll go one step further. New York State has ensured it's only a one-party state. So there's no way of getting around it. It's almost 3-1 Democrat to Republican in my state. It's 6-1 Democrat to Republican in New York City. Now, you know this. You probably watch it because you pay attention. In Nebraska and Utah, it's the opposite. It's heavily Republican. They didn't bother running candidates for U.S. Senate. Democrats didn't run a candidate for U.S. Senate last election cycle. Didn't run one. Because there's no way of raising money, no way of winning. New York State is almost there for Democrats.
Yeah.
A Republican has not won any statewide election in New York State, meaning attorney general, senator, governor, in 23 years. Nothing. And it's getting worse. So the state's getting bad. The only way of actually making change is through independent parties and coalition. And RFK Jr. showed that last year with his Maha movement. I think that's the answer.
Yeah. Okay. So it's gonna be tough to get on the ballot.
It is, but doable.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I've done it before. I have enough volunteers. I have enough cash. I raised $500,000 twice already, so I'll do it again this time. But I have a better piece here. New York State has matching funds. What does that mean? Well, because people aren't giving anymore, right? Because they know the outcome all the time, they don't give. New York State said, well, wait a minute, we'll force them to give. So now we have matching funds. If you're able to raise $500,000 from at least 5,000 New Yorkers, New York State will match your money 6-1. So if I raise $500,000, New York State will give me $3 million of taxpayer dollars.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is my goal. I've done it before, but in the past, about half my money came from out of state. So now I have to focus heavily on in-state. I still want out-state money. If anyone wants to support me, no matter where you live, please support me.
Right.
But if you're in New York State, it's even better. If you give between $5 and $250 within New York State will match it 6 times. So if you give me $10, That's an extra 60. You actually give me 70.
Okay.
Give me $100. That's $700.
Okay.
So yes. So with that, now I get $3 million. Kim, now it's a race.
Yeah.
Now it's a race. Now I can make impact. Now I got a shot of actually coming in. I have a chance and a three-way race of actually winning this thing because I'll have two lines. The Republican will probably have two lines. The Democrat have two lines, and we'll all have millions of dollars. People think that you win because you have the most money. That's not true. We've seen it everywhere. It's not true. What is true is you have to have a certain amount of money to get in the game.
Yeah. Okay.
Once you have that amount of money, and the example I'll give you is Mamdani here in New York City.
Right.
The amount of money in New York City to become mayor, you have to raise at least $8 million. If you raise $8 million, you're in the game.
Okay.
And the people who were players raised at least $8 million. Now, Cuomo actually raised over 20. Cuomo should have won that primary because he raised the most money, but it isn't the most money. There's simply a floor to be in the game.
Okay.
And what I would say in New York State, that floor is $3 million. So I will be in the game at $3 million.
For governor's race.
Yes, for
so
governor.
New York City, it's more for the mayor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because it's more competitive. The governor's race isn't competitive because everyone knows the Democrat always wins. So it's not competitive.
Until this time. Might be the
Until this time.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
Until this time.
Things are changing in the state. So let's talk about Mamdani for a minute here. Because obviously Mamdani's platform would be very different, I think, from your platform as a libertarian.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I guess it comes down to, do you think the voters, because I suspect a lot of voters voted for Mamdani just because they want something different. You know, I
100%.
think that, I don't even think it's about his policy so much. They're just so sick of the establishment. I mean, people are really fed up. And if somebody can capitalize on that momentum, then I think there's that opportunity there. We saw that stark contrast, for example, between Bernie Sanders and Trump.
Yes,
same
absolutely.
Momentum. So you could be on opposite sides of the political spectrum, but as long as you have some of the same idea, some of the same basic, I think, populist ideas, right, or some of the same basic, like for the people.
I'd go even further.
Yeah,
I would go further where even the ideas don't matter as much as the rhetoric and the feeling. And what I mean by that is you look at the Bernie bros from 2016. When the Democratic Party screwed over Bernie, about a third of those people went for Trump.
Yeah.
And you would say, why? Their policies, what? It's because they were looking for a rebel.
Yeah.
And they thought that rebel was Bernie. They couldn't have told you the policies. They had no idea what his policies were. And then when the Democrats said, no, you have to vote the establishment, they went, I don't want establishment. Oh, this Trump guy, he's a rebel. They didn't know his policies. They just knew he was a rebel. I know that when I was younger, I voted for Nader. I didn't know Nader's, I voted for Perot. I didn't know their policies. I just knew they weren't the establishment. I couldn't have told you one policy of Nader or Perot. In fact, I was so naive. I thought that Nader replaced Perot on the Reform Party. I didn't even know the different parties. I just thought it was the third party. So I couldn't have told you any of their policies, right? I just thought, oh, it's not them, so good.
Yeah.
So I think that's right. And remember this, when you're drowning and someone puts a hand out to pull you out of the water, you don't care if there's an armband on that arm. You don't care if the armband has a hammer and sickle or that special 1940s Germany symbol.
Right.
You don't care.
Yeah.
You don't. It's a hand pulling you out of the water. And you want to be pulled out of the water, you'll take any hand. And I think New Yorkers were struggling so much. Mamdani, the Democrats have a very a good thing about them, and that is their rhetoric is better than the Republican rhetoric. We're all going to get, there's going to be puppies and rainbows and cupcakes, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's great rhetoric. And the second thing they do well is they actually announce the problems well. Like Mamdani is addressing a real issue. Like he's saying New York's not affordable. True. He's right. What does the establishment say? Shut up, Trump is bad.
You're right.
That's the establishment in New York State. The establishment in New York State is shut up, Trump is bad. That's it. Well, if you hear shut up, Trump is bad, or hey, I'll give you free buses. You go, you know what? I'll take some free buses. It's it's what you do. What else are you going to do? So I'm hoping I can be that difference to make things, change.
Okay, so let's talk about your platform then. What would be the things that and I think you're right on the rhetoric issue, by the way. I think that, Democrats are giving. They're saying, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that. And Republicans say, we're going to stop this, we're going to take this, we're going to end this, it is just the natural positions of the platforms. They kind of end up in this, like, one's the positive and one's the negative, right? One's like the good and one's the evil, in a way, where it's like, Republicans will say, we're going to get rid of, and then they tell you all the things they're getting rid of, right?
Right.
We're going to get rid of, even if the things sound good, like we're getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. It's still you're getting rid of something. And
Right.
that getting rid of something is more of a negative emotion, even if you're like, but I want to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Even if you say, like, I want to get rid of like the gang violence and the,
Yep.
and illegal immigrants, it's still, no matter, even if you agree with what you're getting rid of, it still takes on a negative tone that
Yes.
is, it's because it's still fundamentally coming from the right. It's that we're getting rid of versus we're
One of
going
the
to give
things that,
you this, we're going to give
yeah.
this, we're going to give this, we're going to give this.
Well, you got to remember what wins elections usually is some form of hope.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And the two big ones you see, the recently was Obama with literally, right? Yes, we can, right? All about hope and change, right? That was from the left. From the right, it was Trump's Make America Great Again.
Yeah, for sure.
In 2016, he was going to make America great again.
Right.
There was hope, right? But
Yeah.
recently, the Republicans have been much more negative in their rhetoric recently.
Yeah.
And the Democrats have been much more, the far left of the Democrat Party has been far more positive in their rhetoric. Mm-hmm. And people care about rhetoric. Politics is not a logic game. It's an emotional game.
Yeah.
It's a popularity contest. That's what, and people don't think it is, but it is.
Even Mamdani versus Cuomo. What's interesting about that is the same exact kind of the same feeling that we're talking about here. Mamdani is all of his ads, everything he puts out there is really positive. Like I noticed that even when he's like crapping on Cuomo, he's doing it like in a joking, lighthearted, like, oh, look at this guy. Like, anyway, here we are, like having a party over here. Like, we're happy, we're good. Things are
I interviewed him 3 years ago, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I knew he was about 3. I warned them about him. No one paid attention.
Oh.
If anyone who cares, if you want to check out my politics, head over to LarrySharpe.com if you want to see what I'm doing. If you want to see
talk about what you're doing here in a second, but
if you want to see my show, you can head over to the Sharpe Way if you want to. That's my show. But I interviewed him 3 years ago. People don't know this. I live in the belly of the beast. He's my assemblyman.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
He's my assemblyman.
Okay.
And AOC is my congressman.
Oh,
I accept your condolences.
I am so sorry.
Yes. I accept your condolences. Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
So I live in the belly of the beast.
Yeah, you really do. Okay.
Mamdani wins 99-1 because Republicans don't run anybody anymore. They stop running again.
But even just back to the rhetoric issue, Cuomo is obviously not a Republican. Well, I mean, we can, it depends, right?
Cuomo's a Cuomoist.
What is the
That's
same?
what he is.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's like establishment, right? He's clearly very establishment. But Cuomo, whenever he would run an ad, it was like, you don't want this socialist, like you don't want this crazy, like he's going to ruin everything if you don't vote for me, right? His rhetoric was like, this guy is it's the same, like Trump bad, right? And Cuomo's like, Mamdani bad, socialist bad, like bad. And then Mamdani's like, anyway, we're having a party and we're going to make New York great again. And, it's going to be fine. And Cuomo, like, who cares about him? So
we're all getting cupcakes. It's going to be amazing.
Right.
Yes.
But you're right in that. And that's two Democrats. That's an example of two Democrats. So you're right. The campaign has to be positive. Like, this is what we're going to give you, even if it is taking things away, like with the rhetoric with, we're going to get rid of all the illegals. We're getting rid of all the gangs. And it's like, why don't you just say, we're giving you safety? Like, make it positive rather than what we're taking away.
100%.
This is what we're going to restore. This is what we're giving, which is right. That was Trump's Make America Great Again message. Until you're right, it shifted more negative. Like, we don't like any of this. We hate everybody and we don't like anything. And it's like,
right.
Who wants to hang out with you? Nobody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You're not cool anymore.
Okay. But that being said, you're a libertarian. Libertarians want to like take everything away. So how are you going to frame it? Because libertarians are like, let's end this. Now, Malay, maybe even Malay is good.
I never take things away. That's not what I do.
Okay,
many libertarians do.
Okay,
but what I recognize is, because here's the reality, particularly in a place like New York, a lot of people rely on the government. It's just true. They do. They rely on it for many things. And as you add government, you by default destroy community. That's how it works. Right. And we learned that during lockdowns. The communities have been broken. They can't support themselves.
Can I give an example of this also? I have a friend that an American friend that lived in Sweden for a long time, for 5 years. And one thing he said to me struck me when he came back. And he said, the one thing about Sweden, because everybody's taken care of by the government, nobody cares about each other. And he was like, there was no like, help your neighbor, do things for your neighbor. Like, there was no sense of, let me help you out. Like, how can I help you? Let me get to know you. He's like, you live in a building, you don't know a single neighbor. You don't need to help. If you offer to help somebody, they look at you weird. Like, And so you're right. More
Yes.
government destroys community, and that's
Yes.
yeah.
And most people will tell you they don't like monopolies, right? Monopolies are bad.
Right.
Most people will
Right.
tell you that. Government's a monopoly. So why do you like government? So my goal is to encourage community to grow. If community grows, then community can support each other. Then government will have two choices. One, get better because no one will use it, or to go away. I don't mind government going away. I want government to go away, but I recognize people have problems. People fall down. People make bad decisions. People get unlucky. Happens all the time. Someone's got to be there to assist them.
Yeah.
Many years ago, that was your community or your tribe or your village or whatever. Back in the day, that you're right. Now it's government, but government cannot actually help. Government serves. There's a difference. Government will give you stuff to keep you right there. It doesn't actually pick you up. And not just that. When government gives you something, it's an entitlement. I'm owed. When community gives you something, I want to give back. I'm part together. Let's move together. So I want to encourage community. That's one of the things I deal with. But there are 4 points to my program in general. I'll add the community piece on top of it.
Okay.
And that is, of course, in New York State, I've had it for many years. It is the idea of affordability, opportunity, and safety. And now I've added, since the lockdowns, liberty. Those are the 4 points I want to work on. Now, when it comes to affordability, we need to be more affordable. So the first thing I'm going to look at when it comes to affordability is actually dealing with creating a New York State social trust. It's basically a sovereign fund for New York State. Alaska has one. Norway has one. Saudi Arabia has one. Singapore has one. We have to create a New York State social trust. It must be a separate company, not run by the government, because they'll just take it. So separate company, separate CEO, separate everything. You create that, and over the course of 2 years, it will begin to pay for education in New York State. If it pays for education in New York State, what does that mean? That means that school tax goes away. When school tax goes away, the average New Yorker will save about half on their property tax. What will that do? Help to stabilize rents and also allow people who are retirees to stay in New York State. Adding on top of that, because about 40% of all the money we give out for pensions in New York State goes out of state. People leave New York State. We're losing 300,000 per year. Many of them are retirees. So look, you've earned your pension, awesome, but I want you to spend it in New York State. And 40% are not. They're spending it in Florida, Texas, Tennessee. Right. They're not spending it here. I want you to spend it here. So first is I do that. Second piece, if you are a caregiver and you decide to caregive to your own family member, any money you make from caregiving is not considered taxable income in New York State. I'm going to make that the new law also. So it'll increase the people of staying at home, helping their elderly or sick parents, and not getting taxed into oblivion. So second piece. Third piece, if you are a senior in New York State, and as long as you've owned a home in New York State for at least 10 years, your property tax goes down at 65, 5% per year until 85.
Ah, yes.
At zero.
I think property tax should be just eliminated entirely. But.
Well, the issue is I want to eliminate taxes, but I can't right away because, again, the state is already $400 billion in debt.
Yeah.
We're too dependent. We're dependent. 1/3 of our budget comes from the federal government. That's how bad we are. The state's broken. So I'd love to, but I just realistically I can't. The state would collapse if I did that. The second piece, though, is now if you say, well, wait a minute, I'm older. I don't want to live in my own home. I want to move in with my niece or my nephew or my cousin or my grandchild or my son, whatever. Great. Go and move in with them. Their property tax is affected by the same thing, half. So their property tax goes down too. Right. So now I'm encouraging communities
to move in together. You're encouraging multi-generational home living. Yeah, that's good.
How communities are brought together by families staying together. So you create environments to where they're more incentivized to do so. But I'm still not done. I also want to make sure that we have a fair taxation rate. What do I mean by that? Right now, New York State's income tax is around 4%, give or take, depends on where you are in the state. Flat 4%, flat, no matter what, no change, 4% period, going down 0.5% every single year for 8 years till zero. So we phase it out to 0 in 8 years. Why? The New York State Trust begins to grow as the tax rate goes down. So we can still fund the government while we reduce our tax rate. We then add one more thing. Right now, our corporate tax is somewhere around 6 to 7%, depending on where you are in the state also. Again, 6% flat, going down 0.5% every year, down to 2% in 8 years. Why 2%? Because one of the most growing states right now is North Carolina. Why is that? Lowest corporate tax rate, 2.5%.
Yeah.
We turn our tax 2%. All of a sudden, now you see people start to come back. I want people to stop leaving.
Yeah.
That's the affordability piece that I brought up multiple times. Next piece, opportunity. The taxes piece does matter, but also we want to make sure that we can have people locally. If you owe at the end of any year, you owe the government money. You owe them from fines, fees, taxes. You can take $250 of that and give it to any non-government funded nonprofit in the state. If you decide instead it's local in your own community, it's $500. It must be a non-government funded, so no fees from the government. You can give them $500. You might go $500. Who cares about that? What happens when 1,000 people do it or 10,000 people do it? Now, what does that mean? Local communities can support themselves as they see fit. Do I want a better place for our kids? Do I want potholes being fixed? Do I want a shelter for women? Do I want a better school for people who are on the spectrum? What do I want? What's my community need? Boom, you can do it. And here's the best part. If the group fails, what happens? They lose the money next year. They have to actually succeed. If government fails, its punishment is more money. If the private sector fails, its punishment is it goes away. And government's still there. I haven't gotten rid of government. So potholes will still be being fixed by the government poorly, but it'll still be fixed. Now you can have extra potholes fixed if you want to do, or anything like that. So you start adding those pieces, things start getting better. When it comes to safety, one of the biggest issues we've had here in New York State is the bail reform problems. It's been a serious issue. Now, bail reform overall is a good idea. I do want bail to be safer. I want it to be fairer. I don't want people who are poor to be hammered for no reason. Of course. But here's how you can fix our bail reform. It's actually very simple. You simply make it to where bail reform is in place for first-time offenders. That's it. Problem solved. How do I know that? All those crazy things that happen, all those people pushing people on a subway and stabbing people, every single one of them, 100%, are multiple offenders.
Yep.
Every one of them is 100%. So you solve all of those problems by simply saying bail reform is in effect for first-time offenders.
And that's it.
You made a mistake.
Yeah.
You get a shot. You screwed up. Here's your chance, homeboy. Here is your chance to, unmess up your life and take a shot and get back in action. Here's your shot. You've been arrested 6, 7 times. Sorry. So you make it go to first-time offenders, change everything. So you can repair this. It can be done. But here's one of the most controversial pieces when it comes to liberty. Lockdowns destroyed my state. Lockdowns wrecked businesses. Lockdowns crushed companies. Lockdowns got rid of our religious freedom. Lockdown crushed churches. Lockdowns destroyed communities. It was a terrible thing that we did, and we just took it. We need to have a constitutional amendment to New York State based upon the First Amendment that there can never be lockdowns ever. And it must be a constitutional amendment, because if it's a law, the governor will go, emergency, for whatever reason the governor decides, and lock us down anyway. It's got to be a constitutional amendment, and it must be based specifically on the First Amendment. Because most people, when they hear First Amendment, they think, well, it's freedom of speech. Okay, true. But it's also freedom of religion, freedom of association, right? Freedom of the press, freedom to assemble, right? All those things. So you base it upon that. Lockdowns have always been unconstitutional. Always. Still are and are. So we're going to make it in New York State Constitution. It is unconstitutional to do a lockdown. You start that, everything else becomes better. So I have a whole lot of policies, and if people care, you can go to LarrySharpe.com if you want to check them out. But more importantly, go to my YouTube page, Larry Sharpe YouTube page, and put in 8 hours. I did 8 hours straight, no bathroom break, no eating break, and I did policies for New York State. And it's time-stamped. For whatever you want, it's there. Did it 4 years ago. It still stands to this day. My policies have been available for literally 8 years now, and no one's taking them. Why? No one wants to fix things they don't have to. If you lean left in my state, you don't get what you want. Why? Because the establishment wins every time. If you lean right in my state, do you get what you want? No, because they don't care. Literally, our last 2 governors said that conservatives should leave the state. Literally, Cuomo said, his literal words were, there is no place in New York State for conservatives. That's what he said. And our current governor, Kathy Hochul, said 2 things. She said, 1, if you vote Republican, you are anti-woman and anti-American. And she also said, if you're a conservative, please get on a bus and go to Florida. That's what she said.
Sounds like a great governor, isn't she?
But she is
a governor for all.
And that's the issue.
Right.
Yes. So, I mean, I'll grab a couple more if you don't mind.
Sure.
And one of those other things is, if we have an issue to where we can actually allow for local public banks, local public banks will allow local people to actually create more local things for them, fund local businesses, fund local farms. Add on top of that, follow a Wyoming rule, which is Wyoming says if you're a farmer in Wyoming and you sell only within Wyoming and not outside the state, you're immune from federal regulatory bodies. I will do that in New York State for all small businesses to include farms. I will then also treat farms like small businesses so they can get small business loans. So that now, again, if you're a farmer, one of the issues with farmers is the family breaks up because the sister or the daughter or the son doesn't want to be part of the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, what if you can create a retail shop on your farm like that, your business? Now you can't do that. What if you want to make a manufacturing plant? Do that. What if you want to create a wholesale? Do that. Now daughter goes, oh, I love marketing. I want to stay and help my family out. Son says, oh my God, I want operations. I'll stay and help my family out. Now the families sit together, businesses can grow, and they can fight against it. But not just that. Once you get rid of federal regulatory bodies, now what happens is the farmers can slaughter as they want. They can do raw milk if they want. They can do the things that local people may want. Helps farm to table, helps local restaurants. All those things begin to grow. Nope, I'm creating an environment to where people actually want to stay, to where people actually want to be here. And that's one of the critical pieces. I'll add one more piece, and that is we want to follow the Texas model. New York State has homeless issues, which is a safety issue, but it also has high rents, which is an affordability issue. We need to end zoning across New York State. There's no zoning in Texas. There should be no zoning in New York State. You end that again at the state level, as Texas does. Zoning is unconstitutional. It should never exist. And Texas, Houston's a major city. What, fourth largest city in America, I think? Give it in that area, fifth, fourth, something like that.
I think Dallas is the bigger one.
There we go. It's in that area, but it's in the top 10. It's a big city.
Yeah.
So it's top 10. So whatever the case may be, they don't have the same homeless problem we have. They don't have the same rental problems that we have. Why? No zoning. You end zoning, you will and of course, second piece of that, you also end all rent caps. No rent caps, no zoning. You will watch all of a sudden things change, rents go down. We know it happened in Argentina. Malay showed us. You do that in Argentina, 30% reduction in rents and more and reduction in homelessness happens every time. You do these things and you will watch things get better. Now note, every policy I just came with you, there's no enforcement at all. Not just that. There's no extra taxes at all. I'm not talking about more money. I'm not talking about enforcement. I'm not talking about more cops. None of that stuff. I'm allowing people to be freer. I'm allowing the establishment to walk away. I'm allowing communities to grow. I'm encouraging them to grow to make people want to stay in my state. New York is a beautiful, beautiful state. The problem is this government is garbage. If we fix the government, New York will be an amazing state. It should be an amazing state. We can do it. We can do it.
Well, all of these policies sound pretty good. I mean, there may be some I don't agree with, but by and large, because I'm not a full-blown libertarian. So
I know.
But I do think that these are really, a lot of your ideas are very, very good ideas.
Well, here's the most important part, Kim. If I get on the debate stage, which is what I'm trying to achieve, then they will actually have to talk about my policies.
Right.
Right now, all they're gonna do is go, if you're the Democrat, you just go, that guy's Trump and Trump is evil. If you're the Republican, you go, she's a socialist and she's evil. That's the entire debate.
Right.
But if I'm on that debate stage, you can say, Larry, that's a bad policy. Okay, great. Where's yours?
Right.
Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, great. How are you going to fix it? What's your answer? And here, I'll be very forward, Kim. If someone finds a better answer to me, take it. If you remember when I was on Rogan in 2018, Rogan ended it with, he said, Larry, you got some great policies. Where'd you get them from? I said, well, we made them up. We have a policy team. We talk about it. We read the laws. We figure things out. We're libertarians, what we do. He says, you better lock them down. I said, why? He said, people take them. I said, take them, and then I don't have to run. Please fix my state. I have a family and friends. I'd rather hang out with family and friends than run. So take it all, fix my state, and I'm good. So I at a minimum, the more impact I make, the more people have to talk about these ideas. And then eventually they will have to put them in. And here's how I know this to be true. RFK Jr. last year, Trump did not have any policies on medicine or food. Nothing. Now, you may not like RFK's policy. You may like them. Whatever you think doesn't matter. The point is he had policies on medicine and food. Trump had none. They saw that this guy has at least 2, 3, or 4 million votes in his back pocket. Trump wanted those. He said, fine, I'll take it. He brought him in. And now, guess what? You have Maha. So what Kennedy wanted, he got. Why? Because he ran independent and people got afraid of him. Well, you know what? Let them be afraid of me. Let them be afraid of me. Let them take all my policies. That'd be amazing. Let them do it. I'm happy. Let them do it. I don't mind. But I got to be able to make impact. And here's the issue. In politics, ideas don't matter. 3 things matter. 3 things are leverage. Eyeballs, money, and votes. That's it. Those are the 3. That's the currency you trade in politics, not ideas or intelligence or good looks. None of that matters, right? What matters is those 3 things: eyeballs, money, votes. So if I'm able to achieve those, and RFK Jr. had those, he had at least 3-4 million votes. He got tons of eyeballs, and he had cash. He raised like $30-40 million.
Mm-hmm.
If I can come anywhere near that, and I have that kind of currency, I will have leverage. They will have to pay attention to me, and that's the issue.
Well, Larry, I wish you the best of luck in this for sure. Certainly, New York is a disaster, and
Yes.
I think any change would be good. You know, and
Yes.
I think that's what New Yorkers have decided with Mamdani, right? They're like, any change
True.
would be good, just anything. And so
True.
I think that this year or this coming year, you have a much better shot these days, I think,
yes.
than previously. I think people really are also catching on to the idea that Democrats are just full-blown establishment. I think they've gotten over, you know, I think now with Democrat voters especially that are more independent leaning, or a lot of them are becoming independent and willing to just look at all candidates and decide on which one they actually prefer. And I think it's because they've, you know, really it's the facade of Democrats and their whole, we're the only democracy and we're the only ones upholding democracy. A lot of people are just seeing through that now. And they're
100%.
no longer deranged by the Trump derangement syndrome, which a lot of people were like, oh no, existential crisis. And then they just stayed in this kind of survival mode. And they were like, do whatever the Democrats tell me. But I think a lot of Democrat voters and a lot of independents have come out of that. And now they're like, actually, you know what? It's all a bunch of bull. And you guys are actually pretty awful. So let's look at other candidates. Let's look at other options.
There's actually more independents than Republicans. Republicans are the third largest party in New York State.
Yeah.
And now across the country, that's true. There's more independents than there are anybody else. Independence is growing tremendously. If I have a year, it's this year, right? If there is a year, it's this one. So yeah, look, Jesse Ventura won governor in '96, right? So maybe every 30 years is the time the lightning strikes twice. Let's hope it does. I think
it might. So tell everybody where to go. So we've got your website.
Yes.
Your campaign website is what?
Yep. LarrySharpe.com, and that's Sharpe with an E, and the E stands for electable. That's what it stands for, in case you're confused. If you want to help out, there's 3 ways you can help out. Number 1, you can volunteer. Volunteer, you don't have to be in New York State. I need volunteers, particularly for social media. I need volunteers, so jump on board for that if you want to. You want to help out there. Also, you can donate, obviously. The maximum you can give is $9,000. And something like, oh, I wanted to give you $10,000. Well, you can't. You only do $9,000 for those you guys who want to throw so much money at me. So, but if you live in New York State, please give between $5 and $250. That is what they will match if you live in New York State. Don't live in New York State, they will not match it. Give me whatever you can give. It's awesome. But the last piece, which is, and this is going to sound silly, every time you see something that I'm on social media, please like and share it. That really matters. When you're watching this, if you haven't clicked the like button, why do you hate me and Kim? What is wrong with you? We're wonderful people. Click the like button. Share it. Yes, and share it someplace, because what's happening is that helps the rhythm, rhythm. It helps Mr. Rhythm move around, get us around so people can see us. And again, eyeballs, money, votes. Eyeballs count. So please share this everywhere you possibly put it into a Facebook group, put it into, and share on YouTube, whatever. Share it and click the like button. And if you can, comment. That's always good. Even if you don't like me, comment. I don't like that guy, Larry. Just good. Comment anyway. It still works.
All right. And where can they watch your show?
Yes, the Sharpe Way, of course, everywhere the Sharpe Way. Feel free to put that on both. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Rumble, it's also on X.
Okay. And we also do have a link to your X profile as well down below. So we have all of those links and X. So LarrySharpe.com, thesharpeway.com, and also your X profile. Larry Sharpe, best of luck to you. 2026 is, it's right around the corner. And so this election is going to be happening very fast. So
absolutely,
we wish you the best of luck in taking down the establishment in New York State.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And I'll be back on to see you, of course, as always.
Of course. Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.